Your soulmate's heart just shattered, now they finally understand what you mean to them. My beloved child, listen carefully to this message, because there are moments when a person does not understand the value of a connection until life forces them to stop, become silent, and finally look into their own heart. My beloved child, your soulmate may be going through an emotional season that they never expected. Something has shaken them deeply. Something has touched a wound they tried to hide. Something has made them question the choices they made, the people they trusted, the distance they created, and the feelings they tried to bury. And in the middle of that pain, your memory has become impossible for them to ignore. My beloved child, sometimes the heart understands what the mind refuses to accept. A person can tell themselves that they have moved on. They can stay busy. They can surround themselves with people. They can pretend that everything is fine. They can avoid certain memories. They can refuse to talk about the past. But when life becomes quiet, the heart begins speaking again. And perhaps that is what is happening with your soulmate now. My beloved child, their heart may feel broken, disappointed, exhausted, or deeply confused, and through this difficult emotional season they may finally be recognizing something they once overlooked, the importance of your presence in their life. This does not mean you should assume exactly what they are feeling or wait endlessly for them. It means that difficult experiences can sometimes force people to reflect honestly. And when they reflect honestly, they may remember the person who once gave them patience, understanding, warmth, encouragement, and a sense of emotional safety. My beloved child, perhaps your soulmate once believed that your connection would always remain available to them. Perhaps they thought they could return whenever they wanted. Perhaps they assumed you would always be waiting. Perhaps they did not realize how deeply your absence would affect them. But time has a way of teaching what words cannot. Distance can reveal what closeness allowed someone to overlook. Silence can reveal the importance of a voice. Absence can reveal the value of a presence. And heartbreak can reveal the truth hidden beneath pride. My beloved child, your soulmate may now be looking back at moments they once took for granted. They may remember your conversations. They may remember the way you listened when nobody else seemed to understand them. They may remember how you encouraged them when they doubted themselves. They may remember the small things you said. They may remember your patience. They may remember your kindness. They may remember how you noticed things about them that others ignored. My beloved child, sometimes people only realize the depth of a connection after they experience what it feels like to live without it. They may meet other people, have new conversations, experience new situations, and discover that something still feels different. They may wonder why certain interactions do not give them the same feeling they once experienced with you. They may compare moments without even intending to. And slowly, a realization can form inside them. My beloved child, they may realize that they did not simply miss your presence. They missed the emotional connection they felt when they were around you. They missed being understood. They missed feeling seen. They missed the comfort of knowing someone cared. They missed the person who knew how to reach the part of their heart they kept hidden from everyone else. My beloved child, this realization can be painful because it forces a person to confront their own choices. Your soulmate may be asking themselves why they walked away, why they stayed silent, why they allowed distance to grow, why they ignored certain feelings, why they did not communicate when they had the chance, and why they believed that time would somehow erase everything. Perhaps they now understand that time does not always erase a meaningful connection. Sometimes time reveals it more clearly. My beloved child, your soulmate may be experiencing a kind of emotional awakening. They may not know exactly what to do with it yet. They may feel regret and love at the same time. They may feel sadness and hope at the same time. They may want to reach out but fear rejection. They may want to apologize but not know where to begin. They may want to hear your voice but fear that you have changed too much. They may wonder whether you still care. They may wonder whether they missed their opportunity. My beloved child, if this is happening, remember that you cannot make their decision for them. You cannot force them to communicate. You cannot heal every wound they carry. You cannot take responsibility for their emotional journey. You can care, but you must also protect your own peace. Their healing belongs to them. Your healing belongs to you. My beloved child, perhaps their broken heart is teaching them lessons that they were not willing to learn before. Maybe they are finally seeing that relationships require honesty. Maybe they are realizing that avoiding difficult conversations only creates deeper pain later. Maybe they are understanding that pride can cost something precious. Maybe they are recognizing that silence does not always protect the heart. Sometimes silence simply allows misunderstandings to grow. My beloved child, perhaps your soulmate once believed that being emotionally strong meant hiding everything they felt. They may have believed that showing vulnerability would make them weak. They may have avoided telling you how much they cared because they were afraid of what would happen if you knew. They may have kept their emotions hidden because they did not know how to manage them. But now, after experiencing heartbreak or disappointment, they may finally understand that hiding feelings does not make them disappear. My beloved child, emotions that are ignored often return when a person least expects them. A memory can appear in the middle of an ordinary day. A song can remind them of you. A place can bring back a conversation. A familiar phrase can awaken an old feeling. A quiet evening can suddenly make them realize how much they miss someone. And sometimes one small memory becomes the beginning of a much larger realization. My beloved child, perhaps your soulmate is having those moments now. Perhaps they are realizing that you were more important than they admitted. Perhaps they are remembering the way you made them feel when they were struggling. Perhaps they are thinking about the times you offered support without demanding anything in return. Perhaps they are recognizing that your love was not perfect, but it was genuine. And perhaps that realization hurts because they now understand that they did not fully appreciate it when they had it. My beloved child, regret can be a powerful teacher, but regret alone is not enough to rebuild a relationship. If your soulmate truly understands your value, eventually that understanding must become responsible action. They must communicate. They must apologize where necessary. They must demonstrate change. They must respect your boundaries. They must show consistency. Words can express emotion, but actions demonstrate intention. My beloved child, do not let the intensity of someone's sadness convince you that you are responsible for saving them. You are not their rescuer. You are not responsible for carrying their pain. You are not required to return simply because they are hurting. If they want another opportunity with you, they must approach you with honesty and respect. My beloved child, perhaps their heart is broken because something in their life did not turn out the way they expected. Maybe someone disappointed them. Maybe a relationship failed. Maybe a person they trusted walked away. Maybe they discovered a truth they did not want to know. Maybe a situation forced them to recognize what they had been avoiding. Whatever the circumstance, their pain may be creating space for reflection. And in that reflection, they may be thinking about you. My beloved child, this is why you should not rush to interpret their pain as a promise. Pain can make people remember old connections, but healing requires time. A person can miss you and still be confused. A person can love you and still not be ready. A person can regret losing you and still need to grow. A person can reach out and still not know what they truly want. So if communication comes, listen carefully. Do not build an entire future from one emotional conversation. My beloved child, if your soulmate contacts you, allow the conversation to be honest. Let them explain what they have been feeling. Let them tell you what happened. Let them share what they regret. But also ask yourself what you need. Your heart matters too. Your experience matters too. Your pain matters too. You should not become so focused on their heartbreak that you forget your own. My beloved child, perhaps you were once the person who waited for them to understand your value. Perhaps you hoped they would eventually see what you were trying to give them. Perhaps you wondered why they could not recognize the depth of your feelings. Perhaps you questioned whether you were enough. But now you must release that question. You were never required to earn your worth through another person's recognition. Your worth existed before they understood it. My beloved child, if they finally understand your value, receive that understanding with calmness. You do not need to say, "I told you so." You do not need to prove that they were wrong. You do not need to punish them for realizing late. Instead, ask yourself whether their new understanding is accompanied by meaningful change. That is what matters. My beloved child, someone can say, "I realize what you mean to me," and still repeat the same behavior. Someone can say, "I miss you," and still disappear again. Someone can say, "I regret everything," and still avoid accountability. This is why wisdom must stand beside love. Let your heart feel, but let your mind observe. My beloved child, perhaps your soulmate is sitting alone right now thinking about the past. They may be remembering the moments when you were there for them. They may be thinking about conversations they wish they could repeat. They may be imagining what they would say if they had another opportunity. They may be wondering whether you would listen. They may be afraid that you have moved on. They may fear that they lost you permanently. My beloved child, perhaps this fear is making them understand your value more deeply. When someone realizes that an opportunity may no longer be guaranteed, they often begin to appreciate it differently. But again, you do not need to chase them to reassure them. If they want to know whether there is still a possibility, they can communicate respectfully. My beloved child, let their courage become visible. Let them take the step. You have already spent enough time carrying uncertainty. You do not need to carry their side too. My beloved child, perhaps your soulmate's heartbreak is also teaching them the difference between attention and genuine connection. They may have discovered that being surrounded by people does not necessarily mean feeling understood. They may have learned that temporary excitement cannot always replace emotional depth. They may have learned that someone can be physically present but emotionally distant. And perhaps this is why they are remembering you. My beloved child, they may remember how you listened. They may remember how you cared about their dreams. They may remember how you encouraged them when they were uncertain. They may remember how you noticed when something was wrong even when they said nothing. They may remember the comfort of knowing that someone genuinely cared about what happened inside their heart. My beloved child, perhaps they once overlooked those things because they were too focused on what they wanted at that moment. Now life may be showing them the difference between temporary satisfaction and meaningful connection. My beloved child, this does not mean you should place your life on hold. You must continue. You must grow. You must take care of your heart. You must pursue the things that make your life meaningful. You must allow yourself to experience joy outside of this connection. Your soulmate's realization should never become the center of your existence. My beloved child, if they return, they should return to a person who has continued growing, not someone who remained frozen in the past waiting for them. Let them see that you have become stronger. Let them see that you learned from what happened. Let them see that you still have a heart capable of love, but you also have boundaries. My beloved child, perhaps your soulmate is now understanding that they cannot simply return and expect everything to be exactly as it was. Too much has happened. Both of you have changed. Your experiences have shaped you. Their experiences have shaped them. If a new beginning is possible, it must be a new beginning, not a repetition of the old pattern. My beloved child, this is where healing becomes important. If you both decide to reconnect, talk about what happened. Do not pretend the past never existed. But do not use the past as a weapon either. Talk about it to understand it. Talk about it to learn. Talk about it so you can create something healthier. My beloved child, perhaps your soulmate's broken heart is making them realize that emotional avoidance has consequences. Maybe they used to run away from difficult feelings. Maybe they distracted themselves whenever something became serious. Maybe they avoided commitment because they feared being hurt. But now they may be discovering that avoiding vulnerability can create a different kind of pain, the pain of losing someone meaningful. My beloved child, sometimes a person must experience the absence of what they valued before they understand the cost of their own avoidance. That realization can be painful, but it can also be transformative if they choose to learn from it. My beloved child, if your soulmate truly grows from this experience, you may notice changes in the way they communicate. They may become more honest. They may stop hiding behind vague statements. They may start asking direct questions. They may acknowledge their mistakes without making excuses. They may show more consistency. They may become willing to have conversations they once avoided. Those are signs worth observing. My beloved child, do not look only for romantic words. Look for emotional maturity. Look for accountability. Look for respect. Look for patience. Look for actions that make you feel secure rather than confused. My beloved child, you deserve a connection where you do not have to constantly wonder where you stand. You deserve communication that does not make you feel like you are walking through a maze. You deserve someone who can tell you what they want, even when the truth is uncomfortable. My beloved child, perhaps your soulmate is learning this now. Perhaps their heartbreak has forced them to confront their fear of losing you. Perhaps they are realizing that you were not asking for perfection. You were asking for honesty. You were asking for consistency. You were asking to be treated with care. My beloved child, sometimes people think they need grand gestures to repair a relationship, but genuine repair often begins with simple things. A sincere apology. A difficult conversation. A promise followed by action. A willingness to listen. A willingness to change. A willingness to respect boundaries. My beloved child, if your soulmate approaches you, pay attention to these details. Their emotional state matters, but their behavior matters too. My beloved child, perhaps they will tell you that they were hurting long before you knew. Maybe they were carrying personal struggles. Maybe they were afraid to tell you. Maybe they pushed you away because they did not know how to handle their own emotions. If they explain this, listen with compassion. But compassion does not mean accepting unhealthy behavior. You can understand why someone acted a certain way while still deciding that the behavior was not acceptable. My beloved child, this is an important distinction. Understanding is not the same as excusing. Forgiveness is not the same as forgetting. Love is not the same as tolerating repeated pain. My beloved child, perhaps your soulmate is learning this distinction too. Their heartbreak may be showing them that emotional wounds do not disappear simply because someone refuses to talk about them. They may finally understand that healing requires honesty. My beloved child, if they come to you honestly, you can listen. But do not become their therapist. Do not take responsibility for fixing everything. You can be a caring person without becoming responsible for another person's entire emotional world. My beloved child, your relationship should have two people carrying it. If you are the only one communicating, planning, apologizing, forgiving, and trying, then the relationship is not balanced. If your soulmate wants another chance, let them participate fully. My beloved child, perhaps this heartbreak has made them realize exactly how much emotional space you once occupied in their life. Maybe they now recognize that when something good happened, you were one of the people they wanted to tell. Maybe when something painful happened, they wished they could hear your voice. Maybe they are discovering that your absence is noticeable in both happiness and sadness. My beloved child, that is often how people recognize meaningful connections. They realize who they naturally want to share life with. They realize whose opinion matters. They realize whose presence makes ordinary moments feel different. My beloved child, perhaps your soulmate is discovering that about you. But again, let them say it themselves. Do not fill their silence with assumptions. Let communication reveal the truth. My beloved child, if they tell you that they miss you, ask what they miss. If they say they want you back, ask what they want to build. If they say they regret losing you, ask what they have learned. These questions are not harsh. They are honest. My beloved child, you are allowed to seek clarity. You are allowed to protect your heart. You are allowed to move slowly. You are allowed to say, I care about you, but I need to see consistency. That is not rejection. That is wisdom. My beloved child, perhaps your soulmate's heart is broken because they finally realize that the person they thought would always be there may have learned to live without them. This realization can be painful. They may be afraid that you have moved on. They may be afraid that their chance has passed. But if they truly value you, fear should motivate honest communication rather than manipulation. My beloved child, never allow someone to use guilt to pull you back. If they say they cannot live without you, remind yourself that their emotional stability is their responsibility. Healthy love is built between two whole people who choose each other, not between two people who believe they cannot survive without each other. My beloved child, you can care deeply and still remain emotionally independent. You can love someone and still have your own life. You can miss someone and still be okay. This strength will protect you. My beloved child, perhaps your soulmate is beginning to understand that love is not only about intense feelings. Love is also about how you treat someone when you are angry, confused, afraid, or disappointed. Love is about whether you can communicate during difficult moments. Love is about whether you can remain respectful when emotions rise. Love is about whether you can repair after conflict. My beloved child, maybe their heartbreak has taught them this. Maybe they are looking at their past behavior and realizing where they went wrong. Maybe they are finally ready to accept responsibility. If so, let their actions show you. My beloved child, there may have been moments when you wondered whether they ever cared. Perhaps you questioned whether the connection was real. Perhaps you blamed yourself for their distance. Perhaps you wondered what you did wrong. But do not torture yourself with questions that only their honest communication can answer. You do not need to invent explanations. You deserve the truth, and if they are ready to give it, they can speak. My beloved child, until then, release the need to know every detail. There are things you cannot control. There are conversations you cannot have alone. There are answers that must come from another person. Give yourself permission to stop chasing them. My beloved child, perhaps this is the season when your soulmate finally understands that the relationship they once treated casually was actually meaningful. Maybe they are recognizing the difference between someone who simply likes them and someone who truly understands them. Maybe they are remembering how safe they felt around you. Maybe they are remembering that you did not demand perfection. You simply wanted sincerity. My beloved child, sometimes people discover the value of emotional safety only after experiencing emotional chaos. Perhaps their recent heartbreak has shown them how rare genuine understanding can be. They may now look back at you with a new level of appreciation. My beloved child, if they return, do not let nostalgia make the decision for you. Ask whether the connection can work in the present. Ask whether both of you are willing to create healthier patterns. Ask whether the relationship aligns with the person you are becoming. My beloved child, you are not obligated to return to something simply because it once felt beautiful. Beauty in the past does not guarantee health in the future. But if both people have genuinely grown, a new chapter can sometimes be possible. My beloved child, perhaps your soulmate's broken heart has created a turning point. They may have reached a moment where they cannot continue pretending. They may have realized that distraction is no longer working. They may have realized that they still have unresolved feelings for you. They may be thinking about contacting you. If they do, allow the communication to unfold naturally. Do not pressure them to promise everything immediately. Let them speak. Let them think. Let them show you who they are now. My beloved child, perhaps the first conversation will be emotional. Perhaps there will be tears. Perhaps there will be silence. Perhaps there will be apologies. Let the conversation breathe. You do not need to solve the entire relationship in one evening. My beloved child, if they say they want another chance, you can say that you are willing to talk about it. You do not need to promise a relationship immediately. Give both of you time to understand what is possible. My beloved child, trust grows through repeated evidence. One conversation cannot rebuild what took months or years to break. But one sincere conversation can begin the rebuilding process. My beloved child, perhaps this is what your soulmate is finally ready to offer, a beginning based on honesty rather than assumptions. Maybe they are ready to tell you what they were afraid of. Maybe they are ready to admit where they made mistakes. Maybe they are ready to ask what you need. This kind of communication can change a relationship. My beloved child, if they ask what you need, be honest. Do not give the answer you think will keep them close. Give the answer that reflects your actual needs. If you need consistency, say it. If you need respect, say it. If you need clarity, say it. If you need time, say it. Your needs matter. My beloved child, perhaps you once hid your needs because you were afraid of losing them. Maybe you accepted less than you deserved because you wanted to preserve the connection. But you are learning now that losing yourself to keep someone is not love. A healthy connection should make room for both people. My beloved child, perhaps your soulmate is learning the same lesson. Maybe their heartbreak is forcing them to see how much emotional avoidance has cost them. Maybe they are finally willing to grow. If they are, encourage growth through honesty, not by doing all the work for them. My beloved child, let them take responsibility for their transformation. You can support it, but you cannot perform it for them. My beloved child, perhaps they are thinking about the moment they lost you. They may remember the final conversation. They may remember your expression. They may remember words they wish they had never spoken. They may remember the moment they walked away. These memories can become painful when a person realizes that their own choices contributed to the distance. My beloved child, if they carry regret, let them process it. You do not need to punish them to make them understand. Sometimes a person must simply sit with the consequences of their choices. My beloved child, perhaps your soulmate now realizes that pride did not protect them. It only created distance. Perhaps they realize that pretending not to care did not make the feelings disappear. Perhaps they realize that ignoring your messages did not erase the connection. Perhaps they realize that moving forward without resolving the past only created emotional confusion. My beloved child, if they understand these things, that is meaningful. But let them translate that understanding into behavior. My beloved child, perhaps they are now asking themselves, what if I had been honest? What